Hello, everyone. El Profesor and Mariana, dear Mariana is here. El Profesor says, hello, Meran, 21-year-old male, Sri Lanka. Hello there. Mariana says, hello, female, 28, Mexico. Lovely to see you guys here. Let me just create my special concoction of tea. This is green tea, green here too. But then I have new found interesting thing, which is a slice of mango, dried mango. I throw that in here, just like this, and that's it. Somehow that bitterness of the green tea is a little taken away, and that spicy or smell and aroma and taste of mango gets in there with just a hint of sweetness. Perfect. Jennifer Tettenbaum. Sounds German to me. Jennifer, are you German? Message retracted. Oh, I'm heartbroken. El Professor says, those are actions for a certain period of time driven away by certain emotions define us, or what we have always been defined. What we have always been defined us. Because, it's like saying, I had gas in my stomach and I had to let one out. And does that define me that I always have gas? No, it happens, But most of the time you eat right, and so it's not a really an example in good taste, but it will deliver what's supposed to be delivered in shortest amount of time. And Jennifer says, hi from Brooklyn, New York. Oh my goodness. 60 years old. Oh, well, welcome. Delighted to see you here. Well, I started the stream a little bit early, so I hope to finish it by 10:30, so we wouldn't disturb my neighbor. For the first time, she had a little knock on the wall. These walls are very thin, so it's very intimate. So I hear her when the water is running on the other side. Although these are pretty good buildings, actually, in best part of town in a way. However, these are old buildings. I'm sure Jennifer can identify with the old buildings, New York being one of the interesting cities with all those buildings. Jennifer says, I was born in Trinidad. Oh, in the Caribbean. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Tropical islands. And did you live most of your life there? Are you new to States, or you've been living here most of your life? So you guys forgot something, There are 4 of us, 5 of us here, no likes. Quickly, before the like button goes away. And Jennifer says, I'm an art historian. Very interesting. Very interesting. So, in any era or any culture or particular era or culture or particular art? She says, living in US for 40 years. Oh, interesting. And same here. 40 years in Canada, though. Exactly 40. Is it 40 or 41? 1979. 1979. That's 80. It's 20, 20, 40. 41 years. Actually, it is 41 years. I immigrated to Canada and I landed October. I believe it was October 13 or 18, I'm not sure. Long time ago. Wow. Time passed so quickly. So what's going on with you guys? 6 of us here and one like. Should I get the ugly stick? You guys are familiar with the ugly stick, right? The ones who don't take good care of themselves, or the like button on the channel, they'll get a visit. Let me turn these lights on to have more lighting. So that's perhaps better. Jennifer says, I love Canada. I have family in Toronto. Oh, yeah, that's close. And in Guelph or Guelph, Brampton and Montreal. Oh, interesting. I worked in Toronto a long time ago. It was about 39 years ago. It wasn't that I was working there. I was sent there for training from a company that I was working here. And that was just such a young kid. So, Mariana, how are things there in Mexico? Nazo says, I'm from Syria. Hello, Nazo. Says, but immigrated because of the war. Where are you then? Remember, I need gender, age, and where you tuning in from. So where are you and your gender and how old you are? Oh, you immigrated to Canada. So you're in Canada. Where are you in Canada? Let me turn this on. And Montreal, male 16. Oh. Nazo, uh, because you're 16 years old, your parents know that you're here because, you know, there are certain things that we discuss here may or may not be relevant to you and or maybe, you know, something that... so unless you have any question in regards to topics of discussion here, just let me know. As long as they know, then I'm okay with it. And Jennifer says, my problem is I'm 60 years old and no one believes me. People think I'm 40 years old. That's a good blessing. Let me close the window. This fireworks or somebody smoking is coming in. Just one moment. Yeah, I hate smoking. And the smell of it comes is just really not good. Hmm? Thank God I have Dyson air purifier, so hopefully it'll take care of it soon. Nazo says, immigrated to Canada, 16. Jennifer says, where are you from originally? I was born and raised till I was almost 18. Not quite. In Iran, Persia. Then my father sent me to university in the States, and so on. Nazo says, I'm originally from Damascus. Ah. Nazo says, oh no, just wanted to come say hi. I saw that you were live and your videos are always interesting. Delighted to hear that. I'm glad that the videos are helpful to you and you enjoy them. By all means, and if you have any questions regarding relationships or the topics that we have here, you're welcome to ask. But in regards to things such as other than the breakups, then I would have liked for parents to know that you're here, and I would be able to know that they have knowledge of this. El Professor says, annoyed remembering those incidents, and by overthinking and doubting, I started doubting my gender, and sexual orientation, I always loved girls and been loving. Marin, there's a question of, Look, this whole idea of questioning your gender is really nonsense, because everybody is born in a certain way, and that doesn't change. Whether you're born this gender or that gender, whatever gender you're born, you'll embrace it, enjoy it, love it, and that's how you're going to be rest of your life. It's not like, as I mentioned before, you're not like cow's milk, that you're, in a few days, or depending on temperature, you turn into sour milk, or buttermilk. Then possibly a few weeks later or sometime you become yogurt, and someday eventually cheese. It doesn't work that way. It's not about temperature and fermentation and all that. It doesn't have a fuse. It's about chromosomes. You are created in a certain way, and that's it. Now, you may have, then you will end up maybe because of the OCD and subset of OCD, you create HOCD, which you know what it is. And then that's a doubting disease, OCD in general. Depending on what subset, it creates doubts about whatever that topic is. So something shows up in your head, you want to make sure, how can I make sure? I remember I did this, I kind of felt interesting about that boy when I was a kid, or I should have not said that. I said, then you start data hunting and trying to make meaning, and that particular incident, you believe that that could actually be the real evidence for your gender, but what you have always been all throughout your life, what you always liked all throughout your life, how you have acted all throughout your life, that doesn't matter anymore. Only that particular, that's because most people with OCD are perfectionists, and anything that could be any blemish into anything, they focus on that. That's the disorder, which you should simply disregard it and understand that's a malfunction of the brain, not your gender. Gender doesn't malfunction. That's what you are, that's what you've been, that's what you'll always be. So, Nazo says, yeah, completely understand. Delighted to hear that. Thank you for that. And so let's see. Jennifer says, my jeweler is from Iran and he owns a huge jewelry store in Brooklyn. New York. His name is Mahmoud. Oh, okay. Yeah, there are many famous jewelers in the United States that they are originated from Iran. El Professor says, Mehran, I mentioned a situation above. Please read it silently. Oh, you did? Too late. I've already read it loud. Don't worry. This is what, you're not the only one who goes through these sort of things. Everybody and their aunt and uncle have intrusive thoughts of all kinds. As I mentioned, the only difference between the ones who have this challenge, or this becomes a big question for them, are the ones who have an OCD involved. So intrusive thoughts is created by brain of every human being on earth, of the same kinds that you have or worse. But the difference is the ones who don't have an OCD and malfunction in the caudate nucleus in the midbrain, they get it all automatically shut down. After they initially recognize this as intrusive thoughts, they, what is that? And then it stops automatically. Because usually that's what it is there for, to regulate it and stop based on according to what your lifestyle and gender and belief and preference has always been. But sometimes it malfunctions and it doesn't do its job automatically, and that's when you got to step in and ignore the thoughts. Don't even bother with what it means. No data hunting, no interpretation, just the fact that it's intrusive thoughts, bad thoughts, I don't like it, that's it. Focus on your life and move on. Then keep that going for a while, and eventually the brain, because of your behavior and the way you treat the intrusive thoughts, it rewires itself through neuroplasticity, and then it kicks back into its normal function, or at least it will be manageable. And whenever it malfunctions or shows up, you know what it is and how to handle it. That's all. So don't make it a big deal. And usually, if you want to give me a warning to read something silently, give me the warning before you actually put the question in. But no worries, it's something that everybody deals with. It's not like you're the only one. The reason you have to deal with it is some people have to deal with it because there's a little malfunction in the automatic shutdown valve, shutdown lever. That's all. So, Anisha says, any chance of getting out of HOCD? What do you mean, any chance? Of course. The whole thing is a hoax. It's a creation of the brain, not you. So it has no bearing on you, but brain is being very powerful. It overwhelms you and makes you think that it has any validity or any truth to it, because it lingers in the brain and takes your attention to all the things that you've always been concerned and disliked, and creates anxiety for you. And for that reason, you're more in tune in looking for them, like you're a hunter and you want to get rid of a danger. So you're more focused on it. The more focused you are on it, the more it becomes your mind, and you see it and you concern about it. So it occupies your energy and your focus. So you got to learn, just like as I mentioned before, if you're walking somewhere that's got lots of debris and garbage and dog poo, vomit, snot, and everything else, all kinds of things, and you quickly learn how to negotiate your steps so you won't step on them. So you avoid them by ignoring them and focusing on what it is that is good for you to step on. Same thing, these sort of thoughts show up. You learn to become expert in avoiding spending any time and energy on it by focusing your energy on things that you actually want to accomplish in life. It's like a painting that you look at and it's got so many different things. Like it says, if you can find a capital alphabet among all these lowercase alphabets, or if you can find a C or something in all these numbers, and there's only a little difference. But after a while, you looking at it, you become very sharp in locating that, let's say, letter C among all these other things. So you learn how to avoid all the other things to get onto the C. Same thing here. You learn and train your focus to focus on life and train your steps to step on the good land instead of the debris that are on the floor. And thoughts the same. Focus on the things you want to accomplish rather than spending any time or energy about meanings or relevancy or irrelevance of these intrusive thoughts. Just the fact that they're intrusive I recognize they're intrusive, therefore it's an intrusive thought, no interest, and you move on. And we have Zed Keel, 27, male, Sweden, says, get the ugly stick, please. I'm wondering if my ex overthinks about me still, and it's been 2.5 years now. Why would you think that she would be thinking about you, Zed Keel? If she would be thinking about you as you think she could or she would, then why wouldn't she be with you? And the fact that she doesn't want to be with you means obviously she's not going to be thinking about you the way you're thinking about her. You may come to her mind, but why do you care? Why do you care in whose mind are you or you're not? There is no actuality and physicality or touch or, proximity, close proximity between you guys. So what do you care if she thinks or doesn't think? What does that mean? Do you feel it if she thinks? No, you don't. Unless you are in a different meditational, level that you can feel all those things, which is, hardly to come by. So what's the use of it? Let's say she's thinking of you. Okay, let's say I have this ability to say, she is thinking of you now. Okay, now what are you going to do? What benefit do you get? Yeah, she's thinking of you. But if you call her and say, hey, do you want to be together again? She says no. So what good, what good is it if she's actually thinking of you? And what good is it that you actually want to know if she's thinking of you or not? So if you think of it this way, you can see you've wasted 2.5 years of your life. Honestly, it's not mine. Mike Myers. All right. And Shazan Khan says, hello, sir. Hello, Shazan. Says Shazan from India, male, 32. Good to see you. Good to see you as well, Shazan. Thank you for that. What's going on, guys? There are 8 of us here and there's 5 likes. You mean 3 of you don't like it? Don't like it? What the heck are you doing here? If it's so bad, or maybe you have, like me, hurt your hand. Did you fall on concrete? Like I did yesterday? Boy, I could have been totally in disastrous situation if I didn't really wasn't able to put my look at my hands are already all bruised. I'm sure you can see it now. It just so happened I was able to last moment put my hand down and then roll. Otherwise I could be head first on concrete and shoo. No more mind that sinks through it. Oh yeah, it can be visible. It's all bruised up. Yeah. The addition of the dry mangoes into the green tea, it's very nice. Very nice, very nice. These days when I get a free time, I like to watch the old series. When I was a kid, it was a Western called Bonanza. A father with 3 of his sons, Adam, Little Joe, and Hoss. And they had a big ranch called Ponderosa in California somewhere. I guess, was it Nevada? Maybe Nevada. Silver City, somewhere. And it's just an amazing world there. Everything is so simple. Everything is so clear. There was no issues. There were no intrusive thoughts. Everything was very clear. Women were women, men were men, and not extra information was surfing around and cluttering the information world, seeping into people's consciousness, the things that they weren't interested, and it was irrelevant to them. It wasn't like people's personal life was on stage, on TV, talked about, all kind of things, information, finding their way into the consciousness, and the brain being a thought manufacturing plant, grabbing onto all these irrelevant topics, because most of the things to most people are irrelevant when there's too much information, unnecessary information is being broadcasted. So the brain would have grabbed a hold of these information and makes thoughts, because it's possible to make thought. Then they turn into intrusive thoughts, which is why so many people today are suffering from different subsets of OCD. Pedophile OCD, religious OCD, HOCD, responsibility OCD, all kind of OCDs. The brain is overactive, and all these extra informations find their way to make thoughts, and be used as, when brain makes thoughts. So, but when you watch these old series, life is kind of fantasy, but very simple. Everything about it was simple there. So it's quite an interesting reminder of my childhood. Zetkil says you should watch the Mandalorian. Oh, I do. I just didn't have enough time to watch the one last night, because it came in night before. And I will watch it, because I've been looking for it we've been all waiting for it. So definitely I will. Mandalorian, this is the way. And it says it's Star Wars, and season 2 premiered yesterday. Yes, I'm aware of it. You'll be surprised how in tune I am with these things. Shaizan says, put some ice packs, sir, on your hand. Take care of yourself, sir. The world needs you. We need you. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for the love, and I love you guys too. But I don't think the world really needs me, but I appreciate the kind words. However, it's too late to put the ice on, because I was with a bunch of clients, and then after I fell, it was okay, but I knew that it's going to show up later. And today's a day later, and I can see the bruise now. But looks like, thank God, my wrist is okay, bones are okay. I had a little bruise here, which is going away anyhow. And not much happened. The knees felt a little bit, but because I rolled, it was like a martial art roll, last moment, and it's concrete, no joke. So I had to break the fall and then roll on it, and then all was fine. And sometimes it takes a little bit of something to happen, then when you guys really appreciate how you take things for granted. And so Zitkil says, thanks, Miran, gotta run now, take care. Okay, dear, take good care, wear your mask if you have to. You see, yesterday I couldn't do this easy, but now I can, actually. And it's funny, when you don't remember something, you don't suffer as much from it. For example, I was picking up a 4-liter jug of distilled water for tea, and I wanted to take 2. It was a little difficult, so I took 1 and left this hand holding something lighter. But then for a second, when I was walking home, I forgot and switched this to this hand. And it was all fine until I noticed, I'm holding this, and then I give it back. So somehow, when you don't remember a difficulty, that difficulty is not a difficulty anymore. Even to the extent of physical injury. Let alone if there are mental challenges, such as OCDs and HOCs. So it often happens to people suffering from OCD or HOCD or any subset of OCD, pedophile OCD, any kind of OCD. They later on think, oh, today that certain event happened, I didn't wash my hands more than, just like usually I wash 100 million times extra. Or I didn't turn the light switch off and on. Or I didn't walk over the four corners of that block when I was walking, or the HOCD didn't bother me because you weren't focused. You were busy. The brain was having mandates to take care of. So it's really all about what you focus on, and then that would get a chance to become a topic of your focus. But if you don't focus on it, it looks like it doesn't exist. And that's what we try to do in our conversation in order to better handle HOCD. Just disregard it. When it shows up, you recognize, okay, what it is intrusive thought, but then don't spend any energy or time on it. Don't worry about what it means, what it could mean, interpretation, or anything. Just recognize, call it for what it is, intrusive thoughts, not interested, and do your thing. That's it. Bad thought, that's all. John Pal says, hello, Maran, 25-year-old male, Australia. Oh, down under. Where have you been? You've been here before, haven't you? Or is it, or am I thinking that your name is familiar? Says, where did you learn all this? I mean, where did you get this knowledge from? Well, knowledge is available for anyone who seeks it. And for me, it's been years that I've been researching and pondering on works of masters of 100 years ago, and continuing my research on movement of mind and mind and body coordination and understanding the psyche and the thoughts and consciousness. And so through these studies, I started that specific one many years ago, all throughout my life, university time, meditation, martial arts, and philosophies, and understanding the power of mind, and encouraging it, training it. So I had a seminar at the local university in regards to power of mind, in regards to the end of fear and its relationship with thoughts, time, and fear, and the relationship between them. And then, of course, I enhanced my studies and interest in focusing and exploring the work of masters of 100 years ago, in specific Mr. Jiddu Krishnamurti, who many famous psychologists around the world and quantum physics professors from around the world would gather around him to ask their questions. And he had never read anyone else's books or psychology books or educated in that field, but he had inwardly researched and pondered, analyzed, and came up to a level that then the psychologists would share conversation and discussions to explore things all together. So, of course, that is a continuous thing, and for me, it's been 7 years since I first was introduced to his work. I've never read any of his books, but I have watched, analyzed, pondered on thousands of hours of his lectures and discussions with psychologists and scientists, scholars, interviews, and so on and so forth. And then I've been walking around the beach for years at night times, like 2-3 o'clock in the morning, pondering on the things that I researched and figuring out things inwardly. As he always mentioned, try to figure things out inwardly so you become able to analyze your own psyche rather than having to hear it from somebody else. So that has been part of my efforts. And then, of course, on the basis of all those trainings and research and life experiences and pondering, I've written a couple of books on that. The one that I really think is very useful in more ways than one in all aspects of life is Me, My Psyche, and I. The book that is titled Me, My Psyche, and I. It's available on my site, mindthatseekstruth.com. mindthatseekstruth.com. You can take a look at the table of contents of the books, and you can click on a button and have a sample chapter you can read, or a few pages of it. And they're available in print and also in ebooks. Of course, ebook is much more economically, um, appointed, because I thought that would be easier for people, and anybody from anywhere could afford it. I purposely made it very, very inexpensive. The printed version is $100 or $80 US, but the ebook version of it is like $8, because I know it's different currencies, different values in different time in different parts of the world have different economic situations. So I wanted the ebook to be very affordable. And of course, the whole life is about learning. So you focus on that and spend enough time, dedication, finding necessary. It can help you with your own challenges and help other people with their challenges. So that's the short of the long. Johnson. And Mariana says, yes, the world needs you, but it hasn't found it. What? Channel. Yeah, they haven't found the channel yet. I know. So one of the two, either both of us got to be known or both of us got to be unknown. So either make the channel known and me both, or I guess we got to dissolve the channel. Johnson says, is meditation a helpful process from recovering from HOCD? Yes, because when you do mindful exercises, even if it's just in the form of sports, because in the sports you would be focusing on one task, one thing, that's sports, and that is a form of meditation, that is form of mindful exercises. So whatever it is, if you draw, do painting, or playing piano, or even playing video games, if you're fully paying attention, fully focused on that what you're creating, that what you're doing, it is similar, maybe not as strong, but similar to meditation. And when you're engaged in such practices, meditation or mindful exercises, there are different neurotransmitters that are going to be improved. GABA neurotransmitters, GABA, GABA neurotransmitter, is now responsible. Scientists found out which neurotransmitter is responsible for what. GABA is responsible to be anti-depression, anti-anxiety, and OCD is anxiety-driven disorder. And at the same time, it increases the ability to deal with intrusive thoughts. So GABA neurotransmitters coming from meditation and mindful exercises increases about 30% when you do meditation. The more meditation, the more mindful exercise you do, the more it's helpful. And also at the same time, when you do meditation, mindful exercises, about 400% of different neurotransmitters are increased, such as the growth hormones, such as serotonin, melatonin, such as decrease about 50% in the cortisol. So these are all very important practices that you can do to help you in mental health overall, and tuning up your existence, your entity, while you get the benefits of all these neurotransmitters being improved in their abundance, and of course GABA neurotransmitters being responsible for a better management of intrusive thoughts. It's very important. Jennifer says the Ponderosa Ranch NBC Western Bonanza was famously set at the Ponderosa Ranch near Lake Tahoe and Virginia City, Nevada. I love the television series back in this. Yeah, I know. It was actually around the world, like they had sold it, and it was in Farsi, my mother tongue, when I was a kid and watching it. I think in that I was little Joe, and my brother was Adam. uh, Jennifer says, I'm highly impressed by all your lectures. Oh, I'm delighted to hear that, Jennifer. My Thank you for the kind words. Obviously, you've watched a few of the videos, and I'm delighted that you find them interesting and helpful. Atif says, 38 male, New York City. Some like, he says, some like Eckhart Tolle says meditation should be empty mind, meaning no thoughts, as opposed to mindfulness. Full implies thoughts are there, thus not empty, clearing the mind of thoughts. Yeah, he's probably joking because he knows better what mindfulness means. But I guess for entertainment or being friendly, maybe he made some, and all these famous people in the world with different names. I'm not speaking about this particular person, but in general, many of these famous people who discuss these topics, actually they have been very familiar and with masters who have done these works before. And I personally like to mention the name of Mr. Jiddu Krishnamurti, who was the pioneering. He taught these topics of meditation, thoughts, consciousness, fear, desire, ego, material process, mechanical process, the whole mechanism of the psyche, and discussion about fragmentation, discussion about being the center, discussion about who we are, what we are, started in 1920s. He taught it for over 60, 70 years. He had schools in Canada, United States, India, and UK. And he taught thousands of people, and millions have read his books. And many of the gurus of today, they have read his book, but they never mention his name. They pretend everything is coming out of their own mouth, and there has been no influence of Krishnamurti in their lives. So, and many of them, many of the other teachers, people, always try to help people, and they may make some references like you mentioned, but they just want to be friendly and funny. Otherwise, I'm sure they know better that what mindfulness is really. And user 22 says, good morning, good morning. Let me open the window, guys, because now I think the smoke is gone. And all right. Silvio Gabriel says, can hypnosis recover you from stuck, disturbing thoughts? Oh, well, if you understand the roots of negative thoughts and looping thoughts, intrusive thoughts, and understand the relationship between orbital frontal cortex, striatum, which particularly caudate nucleus is in the middle of it, right there. And then the amygdala, thalamus, and you can see that caudate nucleus is responsible to shut down the intrusive thoughts as soon as you notice they're intrusive. And sometimes it goes rogue and it malfunctions and it doesn't follow its automatic behavior and doesn't shut down the intrusive thoughts. So it's like frontal cortex processes, sends some kind of a suggestion, and caudate nucleus, it goes to amygdala and thalamus, recognize this is irrelevant, and wants caudate nucleus to shut it down. It's just an analogy. Particular of it is not exact, and if caudate nucleus doesn't shut it down automatically, the signal that I'm not interested, this is irrelevant to me, doesn't get back to frontal cortex. So what happens? Frontal cortex says, I've got no answer. Hello, anybody? Sends a question back. Again, they send back, but the signal doesn't get through. It's like it's not hardwired, it's Wi-Fi, and the Wi-Fi doesn't work. Signal doesn't get through. So again, the same thing is coming back. So it looks like it's constantly present, and the person who doesn't know how this thing happens thinks, oh, it must have a meaning because it's in my thoughts. That must mean I'm changing, or my gender is changing, or this is a true or fact base because it's constantly there. There's a certain wisdom behind it. There's a deity. None of that shit. It just means it's malfunctioning. That's all. That's why then you have to, through neuroplasticity, by your behavior toward that thought, that suggestion, that image, by ignoring it and calling it for what it is, recognizes intrusive thought, you create a new wiring system, a new understanding. Like manually you're making the brain to learn something new, that, hey, even though automatically you're not being shut down, but I want you to manually shut it down because you don't seem to understand. I'm not interested in these sort of things. These are inappropriate in my world. So eventually it will learn, and maybe caudate nucleus gets back into its natural function, or at least you'll know how to manage it and maneuver. And user 22 says, good morning dear. I need gender, age, and where you're tuning in from. Jennifer says, I am of East Indian descent. My great grandparents were from India. They arrived into Trinidad 175 years ago to work as indentured laborers. Indentured laborers. Yes, and also there were so many people from India, I believe at one time in South Africa, no? I believe Mahatma Gandhi at one time, if I'm not mistaken, he was, I believe was it South Africa or somewhere in East Africa maybe? I have to check my history. It's been a while. And Arjun says, 26 India, how to handle the death of our loved ones. My grandfather left us last week. In fact, I'm very sorry to hear that, Arjun. My condolences to you. In fact, I have a 3-part or 2-part video, in fact, about grandfather, somebody who lost his grandfather or her grandfather. So I'm going to, there are 2 of them already, like losing your grandfather. So just put the word grandfather and it will come up. And there's one part of it that I have not published. It's already uploaded. Maybe I'll release that tonight for you so you can take a look at all 3. And there's also another one that says Death in the Family. I believe that's the title. That might be of some help. That's generalized for death in the family. Let me see if I can find that. Yeah, there is one called Death in the Family here. So I'll put this in here, but that's not the one I'm looking for. I just put this in here for you. as a reference, but there is another one that I made for someone who was a client of mine from state somewhere, and he had lost his mom, and I made that specifically when he told me about it, but it happened to be useful for many other people too, I guess. What about loss of a family member? I think that's the one. Yeah, I think that's the one, if I'm not mistaken. So here I put this here too, in case that become helpful for you. And Silvio says, thanks, man. So hypnosis can revert this malfunctions. I don't know. I've never used hypnosis, but I don't think there's much easier solution to that. It's just learn to understand the relationship between you, brain, and thoughts. And when you understand the separation of brain and you, that there is a you first, and then there's brain, and the brain is not you, and you're not the brain, and that you're not thoughts, and thought is not you, then you understand this separation, then you begin to recover, because it's all a thought-based, anxiety thought-based thing. It's not like there's any actuality to these thoughts. Link says, thank you so much for your video yesterday. You're quite welcome. Says male 20 and live in Dubai and live in Dubai. Okay, great. Jennifer says indentured laborers worked the sugar cane. Yeah, plantation. Yeah. Okay, got it. Atif says yes, South Africa. Jennifer says South Africa. Gandhi. Yes, I thought so. Yeah, Mahatma Gandhi. What a man. And Jennifer says, my maternal grandfather, Subhan Ali, passed in 2000 at age 86 years. So maybe you may, it's a bit late, but you may find that video possibly of some relevance. Okay, good. And Link says hypnosis only works on contamination OCD. I see. Well, educate yourselves about the mechanism of the brain as far as its function and its relationship with your psyche and with you and all that, and then you understand that brain is just a tool, brain is just a machine, brain is just a thought manufacturing plant, brain is just an equipment, apparatus. It's not your leader, it's not your teacher, it's not a deity, it's not a wise of the world, it's not intelligence, it's just a machine. It does a job, and it also creates nonsense. 80,000 thoughts a day, all irrelevant, because it's the apparatus that you use in order to purposely create something, calculate something, figure out something, solve something, learn something, accomplish something. And it's also an apparatus that it uses its own as well. Like, you're not the only one that uses the brain to make thoughts for advancement and your use of creation or something. Brain itself also uses thoughts, its own apparatus. That's where things go haywire. The whole problem of humankind started when we were endowed with the ability to think 40,000 years ago. Before that, we were animals based on instinctive living, and everything was hardwired, and there were no problems. There were no intrusive thoughts. There were no brain interfering, creating, building, making thoughts. Because thoughts are the roots of all problems. Because when you believe your thoughts for no reason, no evidence, just believe it because like you believe something that you don't need any evidence for and you've chosen to believe it, brain has that power that make you think that what it says it's actual because that comes to your brain. Why? Because if you notice, ever since your childhood, you have been duped to believe or experiencing the world. You've been experiencing the world second-handed through your brain. Your eyes see something, but it comes in, it goes into the brain, is processed, and then it shows in the screen of your head, and you can see it. You can make sense of it. You hear things, it goes in, processes, comes out. Then you want to calculate, create, design, the imagination, the calculation. The brain is used for you to advance yourself, to learn something. It's the brain. So you always have your connection, not directly with life, but second-handed. Through the window of the brain, you negotiate and connect with the world. So the brain has become certain kind of a source for you, which misleads you thinking that what brain conjures up is the world, is the actuality, is the truth, is factual. That's why you have a problem when something shows up, a suggestion comes up, image comes up from the brain. You think, oh, it has any validity. No, it doesn't. It's a machine. It's not what you've been thinking. It's a tool. You are the selector. You are the judge. You are the owner of this tool, of this apparatus. And you call the shots. The stuff that it makes is not useful, you diss it. You select something that is maybe useful, then it's your judgment and your command, your command. You're not following the brain. The brain is supposed to follow you. I've got many of these discussions on my videos in the playlist called Intrusive, OCD, HOCD short videos. Watch those videos in that playlist and you will get to know your brain a little bit more, a little bit better. All right, guys, looks like we've been here for an hour, and I think it's time for me to say I love you all. Thank you very much for being here and giving me the opportunity to share a thing or two with you. Remember, from now on, anybody who's a member can pay $25 and participate in Zoom live stream, which we will have next Sunday at 1 o'clock Vancouver time. If you're not a member, and membership is just you click on the join button, and I don't know, you pay $3.99 a month or $8.99 a month, and then there's one that is $34 something a month. If someone is the member of the $34 one, then they don't pay anything for the Zoom meetings. That is only up to 10 people for 2 hours. So we'll just discuss what those 10 people want to, about their problems or issues and whatever is particular to that discussion. But the ones who are member below that 30 some odd dollar monthly fee, they will pay half price. They will pay $25 fee and they participate in that 1 to 10, like 10 of you, 1 of me type of thing, and they can discuss their questions and concerns. And the ones who are not member, they pay $50 and they can come in. So it's a good advantage to be a member, and it supports the channel, and at the same time makes it, saves you some money for if you wanted to participate in that live stream on Zoom. So anybody interested, until next Sunday, you can go on PayPal and use my email and send the fee. When I see the registration and your email, then I'll send a link back to you. We decided to have that option, and also the other option would be on Saturday when we have live stream. If there's a super chat for this purpose of attending to the Zoom, then we can use that as a instrument of payment of the registration. We can do that as well. So, having said that, I wish you all well. Look forward to talk to you next week, and or receive your registration if you wanted to participate. A maximum 10 people only. This is the first time we're going to put it together, and we'll see how it goes. So look forward to talk to you next week. In the meantime, be good to yourself and to the others. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.